Good morning. Welcome to today. I can't talk this morning. Welcome to today's school board hearing regarding the proposed 2024 millage rate. This hearing provides an important opportunity for community members to share their perspectives and insights, and we are here to listen, learn, and work together to make informed decisions that will benefit our school district. The 2025 original budget tentatively reflects a 17.675 maintenance and operations millage rate, and no change from the current millage rate of 17.675. It's important to note that because our school district funds debt service, including the principal and interest on our outstanding bonds, through an education special purpose local option sales tax, SPLOST, the 2025 original budget does not include a bond millage rate. This hearing is one of 3 public hearings mandated by Georgia law before the Paulding County Board of Education can finalize the millage rate and adopt the fiscal year 2025 budget. We will begin with a brief overview of the hearing's procedures and guidelines, followed by a short presentation on the proposed 2024 millage rate. Afterwards, we will invite participants to the podium to share their observations and feedback. At this time, I would like to turn this over to our esteemed superintendent, Steve Barnett, to provide the procedures and guidelines.
Great. Thank you, Ms. Clinton. Welcome, everyone, this morning. Thank you for being here. Today is our 3rd public hearing, I think one of the things I just wanted to mention is that, and sorry, this may get mentioned later, but one of our goals is to get these in before the deadline for appeal expires with the county. So that's one of the reasons we try to get them in as quickly as we can, because that allows folks until July 8th, I believe, to appeal the valuation. Because a lot of times some of the individual questions wind up being more of a conversation about the value of their property. So that's the reason why we try to get all 3 of these in before that date. And then, of course, the board can amend the budget anytime they want. So there's that as well. Sometimes it's a little odd that there's a hearing and then the board approves the budget later in the morning, but that's only because by law we have to have it approved by the end of June. But again, the board can amend its budget at any point of the year if it wants to. So we just sort of have that threshold we have to cross. But the procedures and guidelines for today's hearing are defined by the board's policy BCBI, which is public participation in board meetings. That includes rules of conduct for the meeting, public speakers, and attendees. Procedures include but are not limited to the following: individuals desiring to appear before the board must first complete a sign-in sheet and affirmation, which is there on the counter there. Speakers will be given up to 5 minutes to make their comments. Speakers should address the Board of Education as a whole, not individual board members. The board will not respond to comments or questions posed by citizens, but will take them under consideration. However, board members and/or the superintendent may ask questions for clarification. Speakers should speak into the microphone and be aware that their comments may be broadcast live, filmed, photographed, or recorded by the school district or other non-district media. Those unable to attend the hearing are encouraged to submit their written comments to the board and the superintendent through the office of the superintendent. And so with that, I'm going to invite Amber Thesma. She is our Director of Financial Planning and Analysis to come up and give us a short presentation on the proposed 2024 millage rate. And thank you for doing this. This is the 3rd time, right? You've had to, yeah, so thank you.
Good morning. This is the 3rd of our 3 public hearings on the millage rate. And again, this is part of our budget approval process. First, I would like to go over some highlights about the millage rate. As you may have already received, assessment notices were mailed on May 24th. And when you get a tax bill, the property values are determined by market trends and are preliminarily set by the Paulding County Board of Tax Assessors. And if you have any questions over your assessed value of your property, we ask that you please contact the Board of Tax Assessors. And they have an appeals process that has a deadline of July 8th. And the tax assessment notices reflect the 2023 property ad valorem millage rate. And the Paulding County Tax Commissioner produces the official digest in either late July or August. And then the Paulding County Tax Board of Commissioners approved the millage rate in early August. The net M&O digest is projected to increase 3.4% to $8.4 billion. Of that increase, only 2.8% was due to the real property reassessments by the tax assessors. Also, this is the last year of implementing the senior exemption. The digest now fully reflects a 100% exemption on school taxes at the age of 68. Exemptions grew 13.5% to $1.8 billion of the gross digest, or 18%. 18% is the highest percentage of the gross digest to be exempted in 20-plus years. Now I'd like to review the piece that the Board of Education is responsible for on the tax bill. The Board of Education sets the millage rate for ad valorem property tax, which is a percentage applied to the assessed property value, and then the Board of Commissioners approves the millage rate. Property taxes are the primary source of local funding for the school district, and as Ms. Collette stated, the M&O millage rate of 17.675 is the same as current year and was utilized in our advertisements and our tentative FY25 budget with no bond millage rate. Bonds are paid through eSplost, but if we were to need a bond millage rate, it would need to be approximately 1.640 mils to meet the FY25 debt service requirements. Now I'd like to look at a few enrollment growth, millage rate history, and comparable districts. One piece that we want to reiterate is that we are the 8th fastest growing school district in Georgia, and we have to balance against a constitutional and federal mandate to provide an adequate public education for our citizens, and that is provided through general taxation rather than through tuition. And as we've touched on in previous presentations to the board, Paulding County School District ranks highest in residential digest percentage among large districts, and while maintaining a comparable millage rate to the average.
So I think this is my cue, right, to say a couple things. And I'll just mention, I know many of you in the room have sat through this. Jason did a great job going through this slide, but we did just want to mention here that this is sort of where that millage rate that Amber just talked about and the digest itself kind of come together and create local revenue per pupil. And what this slide really is highlighting is sort of what happened during the Great Recession. It takes you all the way from 2008 to this year, to this current year, and it's just showing you the delta between where we are per pupil locally in revenue and the state average. So we started out all those years ago already about $900 lower than the average for the state. Of course, because the board chose to hold the millage rate consistent during the decline of the Great Recession, that had a more pronounced impact on the revenue of the school district. The board chose to absorb that and write it down, like a lot of us had to do during that time. So that's why you see that spread apart. That's why you see that become almost $1,500 difference there in the depths of the Great Recession there in the middle. And as you grow back out of the Great Recession now in 2023, what you see there is we've come to be about $1,000 lower than the state average. So over that span of time, you see there, what you see, and that's in the narrative there at the top, that our local revenue per pupil has grown about 9.6%. The statewide average has grown right at 12%. And again, that's growing from a time period where we were already about $900 lower to begin with. So the difference has grown significantly over those years. So, and on top of that is just a lot of state mandates that we have to fund, whether it's the prerogative of the board or not. There are just certain things, more and more things, is what I want to say, over the years that have been pushed down to the local level where we have no ability to really deviate. So the mandates have gotten more, but yet our local revenue per pupil has declined over time. And so, and the other thing I just wanted to mention, and I think Jason provided this slide, which is a better way to look at it, as opposed to the inverse there. We are, when you look at our digest, what's creating a lot of this delta there is that we are about 14% of our digest is non-residential. And that is obviously unique. That is the lowest percentage of the digest of all the large districts in Georgia. That's any district over 10,000 students. Out of all of those school districts, we are at the dead last when it comes to the percentage of our digest that's non-residential. And you can look there and see that we're basically half of what the average is for that group. And so the challenge is when you have a situation like that is do you raise the millage rate to an abnormally high level in order to compensate for that missing component of your digest? But we have not done that. I think Amber, a couple of slides back, showed you where our millage rate is in comparison to again those same large school districts across Georgia. And so you can see some of our neighbors there in the chart. Bartow, probably just to the left of us a little bit. You got Douglas to the right, and Cobb. Just some of our neighbors. Douglas there to the right. But what's interesting is, some of these have larger. In fact, only Bartow has a slightly lower millage rate than we do of those of our larger local or neighboring school districts, I should say. So not only are we sort of at the average, we're really well below what our comparable systems are around us. But what you don't see in that chart is that correlation back to that non-residential percentage. So yeah, Bartow, while they may be slightly lower, I think they're like 0.2 mils lower, but their non-residential percentage is 52%. Ours is 14. You look at a Cobb, Cobb's slightly higher than us. They're 18.7, but they have their percentage is 30, double ours. Douglas is 41%. Cherokee, which really isn't contiguous to us, but they're local and they're large, so they're 30%. And again, we're 14%. But their millage rate is higher than ours. And it's just something we have to manage through. It's unique to Paulding County, and I think what we produce from those limited resources is extraordinary. But anyway, thank you, Ms. Thesmer.
And then when you look at our revenue per pupil, Paulding County School District collects 74 cents for every dollar in local revenue and 90 cents for every dollar in total revenue. And when you look at our SPLOST collections, Paulding County School District collects only 55 cents for every dollar collected on average compared to our neighboring school districts. But the real impact to not having a bond millage rate, though, is that Paulding County School District only collects 41 cents per dollar, which is a 26% reduction. To summarize, Paulding County School District is one of the largest, fastest growing, and low wealth school districts in Georgia. Despite these challenges, it maximizes its limited resources to provide the best possible education for our students. We rank highest in residential digest, but lowest in non-residential digest among large districts, while still maintaining a comparable millage rate. Looking at the statewide average, we are 26.2% lower in local revenue per pupil, which equates to a deficit of $33.5 million, and we only collect 74 cents in every dollar in local revenue compared to our neighboring districts. If a rollback rate of 17.124 mils were to be used, this would be a decrease of $4.6 million in revenue for our district. And again, this is just a look at our press release that was released on May 23rd to the public. As required by Georgia law, tax assessors reassess values, and we in turn calculate a rollback rate, which we discussed in the previous slide. And also, as mentioned earlier, reassessments only went up 2.8%, but a rollback is designed to eliminate the growth from reassessments and is shown in the example to the right. And then looking forward, again, we'll be presenting and voting on our FY25 original budget a little later this morning. And then again, if you have any questions on your property assessed value, we ask that you contact the Board of Tax Assessors and their appeals process. Again, the deadline is July 8th. What?
Right. Ms. Taylor has provided the list of individuals that have desired to appear before the board. Mr. Cable, our board attorney, will call the speakers forward and time their comments.
All right, first speaker is Mr. Jeff Maxwell. Mr. Maxwell, if you'll speak into the microphone and address your comments to the board. I'm going to keep time on time. You get 5 minutes. At about 4 minutes, I'm going to signal to you and just tell you when
It
you're.
won't take that long.
Okay. All right, we'll begin whenever you're ready.
All right, thank y'all for having me. I'm a new resident out here in Paulding County, moved from Cobb, built a house, and got my tax bill and, about had a heart attack. Make a long story short, appreciate y'all having the meeting. Really don't understand the meeting being on the work day, having, missed half a day of pay to be here, but I've talked to some of the commissioners, and they kind of put it off on the school board, and so that's why I'm here to appeal. I got my tax bill. It was over $4,000 for just the school part, over $6,300 for my overall, taxes, and I can't afford that. So I'm here, hoping y'all can do something, try to lower the rate. But from what I took from the slide, it seems like the homeowners have to pay most of the taxes, what I understand now. But I just don't understand $4,000, over $4,000 for an individual. And I believe that everybody should pay their fair share, but I don't even have any kids. And, some of y'all ran on fair tax, which I agree on the fair tax. I just think over $4,000 for, a home, and believe me, I've already appealed. If they want to give me $630-something thousand for my house, I'll take it right now and be out of y'all's hair. Don't get me wrong, but I just, here to, say my concern. Thank y'all.
Thank you.
All right, next speaker is Brian, is it? Easterwood, okay. All right, Mr. Easterwood, same thing. I'll let you know when you got about a minute left.
Good morning, everybody. I'm Brian Easterwood. I've lived in this county all my life. I'm 50 years old. I'm currently unemployed because of an accident that happened a while back. Long story short, but I live here, and hopefully I speak for everybody that didn't bother to show up today or couldn't show up today, but it's, the taxes in this county are out of control. Y'all live here too. I'm sure your taxes are out of control too. No, there's no special favors or whatever, but it's, I'm going to go out on a limb and say that most people on this board are conservative, but this is not conservative spending. We need to start seeing if we can cut the pork out of the spending bill. This is Washington, D.C. spending in Paulding County. We got the SPLOST. Everybody voted to keep the SPLOST back in. It's supposed to go for the schools. We're building a park. That don't make, with the SPLOST money, I understand we're building a park with the SPLOST.
Not with school district money.
Huh?
Not with school district money.
Okay, all right. Forgive me, I'm not up to speed on all this stuff, but basically people are getting priced out of their houses. I mean, people are trying to live the dream. It's making their homeowners insurance go up, our property taxes are going up, the payments are going up. So, I mean, any kind of relief we can get, we need people that's going to sit down, look at the budget, and start cutting the fat out. Even if you're going to put it back into the school district, put it where it matters at, and let's just, take a good long look at it. Let's all be conservative no matter where your political party stands. Let's be conservative and do better for the people that live here. That's all I have to say. Appreciate y'all having me.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Eastwood. Madam Chair, that's all the speakers that have signed up.
All right, so then I need a motion to adjourn the hearing.
So moved.
So moved by Mr. Fuller,
Second.
second by Mr. Clinton. Any discussion, all agree? All approved? The hearing is approved. Gosh, I'm having a day. Adjourned. The hearing is adjourned. Good morning and welcome. I would like to call our June 11th meeting of the Paulding County School Board to order. I want to thank you all for being here today. We, of course, are all here in attendance, and we are joined by our Superintendent Steve Barnett and our Board Attorney Tom Cable. I would like to begin with, if you don't mind, Jason Freeman, would you lead us in our invocation, and followed by John Dean, if you will lead us in our pledge.
Let's pray. Dear Lord, just thank you for this beautiful day, and God, just thank you for your every expression of love and mercy and grace in our lives. Thank you for the opportunity to gather this morning, Lord. We just pray that every decision would be made for the best of our students in the school district. We just pray for discernment, and we pray, God, that you would just put your hedge of protection around and bless each of these board members and their families. We thank you for everyone that's in this room this morning, and we pray the same for them, God. And we just pray that you would forgive us for our many sins, and that everything that we do would bring honor and glory to you. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, we need to, I need a motion to adopt our proposed agenda for today's meeting.
So moved.
Second.
All right, we got first by Ms. Lyons, second by Mr. Chester. Is there any discussion? All in favor? Any opposed? All right, the motion is approved. Now I need a motion to approve our regular session minutes from our May 28th meeting. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
I think I heard Mr. Clayton with that one. I need a second. Ms. Lyons? Is there any discussion on that? All in favor? It's unanimous. Motion is approved. Now I need a motion to approve our public hearing meetings from the June 4th 8 a.m. session. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
So moved by Mr. Nolan.
Second.
Second by Mr. Clayton. Is there any discussion? All in favor? It's unanimous. It's approved. Now I need a motion to approve the public hearing minutes from the June 4th 6 p.m. meeting.
So moved.
So moved by Mr. Nolan.
Second.
Second by Mr. Fuller. Is there any discussion? All in favor? It's unanimous. It is approved. Now I can turn the meeting over to our superintendent.
We just have a short superintendent report today. We did want to go through our monthly financial update. Business Services has published that for April 2024. The update is attached to our agenda. It's available on our website. It also includes a statement of revenues, expenditures, and encumbrances that's required by Georgia law. April was just over just over 83% of the budget year. And of course, the trends that we look at every month include the variance between the year-to-date revenue and our budget. It was 5.7% there at the top right, compared to the previous year of 2.9% and a three-year average of 3.4%. The bottom there is the same. It is a variance between year-to-date expenditures and the year-to-date budget. It was 2.8% in April compared to 4.2% in FY23, but a three-year average of 2.9%. So very close to prior years, and really I guess our version of the bottom line is unassigned fund balance, which right now would support 2.4 months of FY24 budgeted expenditures. That was 2.2 months last year, so we're tracking with where we were this time last year. And again, we'll steadily decline through September to the point to where fund balance might support a couple of weeks. And so we'll continue to ride that down. But the next full quarterly report will be in August. And then I just wanted to mention a couple of things about what's going on over the summer. I hope all of our staff has taken some time off, but the reality is summer is a busy time around here. It's not what folks think. It's a time to catch up and do a lot of different things. And one of the things was having our safety and security folks attend a conference out that was hosted by Homeland Security out in New Mexico. So there on the screen there, you see, of course, our Executive Director of Safety and Security, Mike Ruppel, and I believe officers there, Crawford, Pace, Fitzgerald, and Garland. The good news about this, in addition to this, just the training was just outstanding last week, but the training, the travel, and all related expenses were actually at no cost to the school district. It also included our partners here in the county who also went, and they're going to be just bringing some great information ideas back to their perspective world. So we're excited to get them, for them to get to go out and participate in that. The other thing I wanted to just mention, actually, I'm going to ask Tiffany Frazier, our Chief Academic Officer, to mention this just a little bit. But, you know, a board meeting ago, we talked a little bit about our school improvement plan. And what you really do lose, and maybe y'all saw that this week at the conference, or last week at the conference, is that you lose a little bit of the context. These guys are really leading the way when it comes to what we do related to school improvement. So I thought she might just mention a little bit what they've done over the last week or so.
Yeah. So like you said, when school ends, we get busy, particularly with our principals and helping them to assess the effectiveness of their school improvement plans. We had data retreats last week that walked them through a process with their teams to look at their school improvement plans. We only have some of the initial data. It's still embargoed for the state data, but they use what they have currently to look at if their initiatives were effective, if they need to adjust their action steps. And actually today and tomorrow, they have school improvement roundtables. And what that is the principals meet together with support from the central office, but they meet together to talk about and help each other problem solve through how did you get that growth in your literacy outcomes when I was kind of held static. And so really it's a great opportunity for them to collaborate and to share their expertise and how they got the progress that they got. Again, they sort of start thinking at this point in the year, as the data begins to come in, what to do for next year. One of the things that we do to train our principals is to take them through the Georgia Leadership Institute for School Improvement. They have a week-long conference in the summer called Base Camp and Leadership Summit. Now, we did work them from 8:30 to 5 or 5:30 every single day, but the backdrop of Jekyll Island definitely makes that worth it. They get out and the sun is still shining, so they're willing to come and do that with us, even some of our teachers and folks who are off contract. But what you see in the photo is that they ask us this year to serve on the panel for the entire conference as an exemplar of our continuous improvement processes. And so that is, you see Mr. Wilkerson, the principal at Nebo, his former literacy coach, Dr. Cynthia Davies, who is the executive director of school improvement, Kim Friedman, who is over our elementary literacy, and myself. And we talked about how the district and school works together to monitor data, to collaborate around processes. Mr. Wilkerson has a really exceptional partnership with Kim Friedman to get ahead on the training for the science of reading and the dyslexia laws. All of that goes into effect this year. And so they got ahead on that and actually became an exemplar for the district to follow that model and to provide some tiered support. So we were able to share that expertise. We also were invited to do 2 sessions, one again on our continuous improvement process that we presented to you back in May, and also on district literacy leadership. And at the same time, ironically, Griffin RESA reached out to us. So we're in Northwest Georgia RESA, but Griffin RESA reached out to us and said, hey, we heard you guys have great continuous improvement processes and school improvement processes. Will you present at our leadership conference that they have for the entire Griffin RESA? And so we sent some coordinators from teaching and learning to actually present the same session that we were presenting at Glissy because we were there with our principals. But it was a great time. We do try to take all of our principals through after their first year, or if they are new to the school, we try to circle back and take them as well. We are fortunate that the Georgia Leadership Institute provides us with some scholarships to allow the district leaders to go with them. But then we also have I believe we received Title IIA funds, which are federal funds, some carryover funds to allow us to do this summer. So we were excited to be able to offer that opportunity to our principals where they can focus and really learn those processes.
Thank you. Very exciting.
Share with the board the award that you got during your doctorate. I know you haven't completed your doctorate, but no, I don't think a lot of people know about this, and I think it's really important that you share that.
Okay, so talk about myself.
I know that's hard for you to do, but I would like to know exactly what it was, and I'd like for the board to know.
Okay, sure. So I'm in my final year of my doctorate at the University of Georgia in school leadership, educational leadership. So the focus of my dissertation is on central office effectiveness. And so a lot of what I'm studying and working on is things that have not been, or concepts that have not been articulated well in the research. So there's a lot of research about what a great principal does. There's a lot of great research around what a great superintendent does. But all the people in the middle who are working hard to make a difference for schools and to support schools, there's very, very little describing what they do. And so that's my research topic, and because it's one that is not very, very well researched, and it's going to be the foundation of some additional things going forward. I won the Ray Bruce Award. He was he was one of the original founders of the University of Georgia's Educational Leadership College, and that program to provide doctorates. So I won a scholarship in his name.
We knew you were kind of a big deal.
Thank you, Tiffany.
Speaking of summer activities, these guys went to a conference last week, so I know they may mention something about that later this morning. But and then I just want to finally mention that in addition to other learning opportunities this summer, Dr. Carnice Daniel, our Title I director, is facilitating and partnering with Happy Helpings Summer Camp. Happy Helpings is a food service program funded by the USDA and administered by the Georgia Department of Early Care and Learning. And they provide free, healthy meals and snacks to children under 19 who need them. Title I is partnering with Happy Helpings to serve students from Title I schools that would also benefit from additional learning over the summer. So we have summer camps going on at Dallas Elementary, Hutchins Elementary, Herschel Jones Middle School, and P.B. Rich Middle School. And information on this opportunity, as well as a lot of others, can be found on our website. And then just to wrap it up, our next meeting will be on June 25th. It'll be the board's regular meeting. It starts at 5:30 p.m.
All right. I need to back up for just a minute. We, correct me if I am wrong, but we had for the minutes, to approve the minutes of the May 28th meeting, we had an approval from Mr. Clayton. He made the motion, and seconded by Teresa Lyons. Mr. Clayton was not at that meeting. He cannot vote, and he certainly cannot make the motion to approve those minutes. So can we back up, and Ms. Lyons makes the motion to approve the minutes?
You just didn't hear, that was me, that wasn't.
Yeah.
Messed it up. So then I take it, Mr. Dean, I have a second from you on that one? All right, and is there any discussion on our May 28th minutes? All in favor? Thank you, I'm so sorry. As soon as I did it, I caught it, so anyway. Back to you.
All righty, so we're going to just take a couple minutes to talk about some operational and organizational excellence items. It's procurement, 3 items, I believe, and Mr. Crowder is here, our esteemed procurement director. He's going to share a little bit of details. I believe all 3 of these will be on a consent agenda on the 25th, correct?
Yes, sir.
Great.
Good morning, everybody. I have, like Mr. Barnett said, 3 items for presentation this morning. The first item is our renewal of our invitation for bid for waste removal services. That contract was originally awarded to GFL Environmental for the initial 1-year term beginning in July of '22. This solicitation was bid with 5 potential 1-year options of renewal with proven quality, performance, and price, and this will be our second option of renewal. And our second item today is our renewal of our invitation for bid for WAN and Internet Service. This contract was originally awarded to Comcast Business for an initial 5-year term that began in July of 2021. Today's recommendation will allow us to continue with our contract through June 30th, 2025. And then the last item we have this morning is our renewal of invitation for bid for fencing and gate replacement and installation. That contract was originally awarded to L&L Fence Fabrication Incorporated for the 1-year term beginning in July of '22. And this solicitation was bid with 3 potential 1-year options of renewal with proven quality, performance, and price. And this will also be the second option of renewal for that contract. And then, like Mr. Barnett said, these recommendations will be placed on the June 25th agenda for approval. If you have any questions between now and then, you can just let us know.
I had a question.
Sure.
I received a question about process, and in answering the question, it came up. If a member of the public has a question about the procurement process and how it works with our vendors, is there a link to a video, for instance, that you've done that answers, commonly asked questions that a person could watch and say, okay, well, that's how it works? Where can they find that video?
We don't have a video that's published, or I don't know of one that's existing, but they could reach out to me or our office, and there is information on our website about the process. So we have those options.
Maybe that's something we could look into, because we have to meet the public where they are, and the great presentations that we get, they're fantastic, and we video our meetings. So maybe that's something. That's something somebody can look into and make available to the public, because a lot of times, especially these days, it is much easier for I or other board members to forward a link to somebody that has a question, or for them to go to the website and say, hey, here's the person who's the most knowledgeable about this subject, and it's a short video on this topic that answers my question, and they can watch it 500 times again and again if they need to. So maybe that's something to look into.
We can
You
do
would
that.
love to do that, right?
Sure.
Put you in front of the camera.
Of course.
We could also highlight our local, our local
Vendor preference policy.
So I think it's a great idea. Got Jay in the back nodding, so you're in trouble, Cole. Sorry. Put on some.
About to be on TV, Cole.
Dressed up, awesome.
Put that video equipment to work.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you, Mr. Crowder.
You good? All right.
Are we going to adjourn, or we got another item?
We're done?
Yeah, we're going
Yeah,
to.
we're adjourning to executive session. Yes.
But before we do that, and everybody leaves, may I say something real quick?
For these guys?
Yeah.
Tom? Tom, I'm sorry.
I don't think they're leaving, but
We're,
Oh, well, that's okay for coming back. Good deal. Never mind.
it's like, are they leaving?
sorry. It is time to adjourn to executive session. I need a motion to adjourn
So
to
moved.
executive session.
Second.
Moved by Mr. Chester, second by Mr. Nolan. Is there any discussion? All in, yep. Yep,
Land, legal.
sorry.
Yeah.
No votes will be taken except to approve our executive session minutes, and we will be discussing land, legal, and personnel. I have a motion by Mr. Chester. I have a second by Mr. Nolan. Do we have any other discussion? All in favor? We are adjourned to executive session. Welcome. I would like to reconvene our regular session. We just came out of executive session where no votes were taken except to approve the minutes where we discussed land, legal, and personnel. At this point in time, we will turn our regular session back over to our superintendent for action items.
And the first action item this morning is the original budget for FY25. Ms. Thesma is going to come up and share a little bit of a kind of a final update or what have you. And so this is the conclusion of a very long road for you and the rest of the board. I mean, we've been talking about the budget now for many, many months. So thank you for all the hard work, and I mean, bring us home maybe.
All right. Okay, so this morning we will be presenting our original budget, and we have also included an updated budget overview flyer that will be posted on our website. First, looking back at enrollment, there have been no changes that have occurred since the tentative budget presentation. We are still projected to educate 31,935 students for FY25. Then for our allotments, again, there have been no changes since the tentative budget. We still have a net decrease of 1 allotment for FY25. And then looking again at our allotments by function, again, 64% are dedicated to instruction. Going into our general fund revenue and expenditures, we have no material changes since the tentative budget. Here's a look at our expenditures. And I guess, and you notice that between our revenue and our expenditures, we do have a zero-based budget at $432 million for general fund. And then finally, looking at our overall original budget, the general fund is our largest fund at a total of $434 million, which includes the $433 million for general fund, and then $2.1 million in grants. And the general fund budget has only changed 0.2%, and the ending fund balance is projected to be 1.5 months of FY25 expenditures. And looking at our last 4 categories of our original budget, there have been no material changes since the tentative budget. And again, we want to reiterate that we will pay $13.8 million in bond debt for FY25. That includes our refunded 2014 and 2022 bonds, and then our 2020 SPLOST bonds. So, is there any questions? A little short and sweet.
Yeah, we could do that now, or we could do it in the comments of the recommendation, but thank you.
All right, thank you.
The only thing I'll add is we moved into the recommendation is just, that's a big number, 400 some odd million dollars, but so I try to always communicate with folks what that is on a per pupil basis, and I mean, that's less than $10,000 per pupil. You add another 31%, like the board we've talked about, maybe around $3,000 for on average for special education services. It gets us to right at $13,000 per student against a statewide average of about $14,000. We're still around $1,500, project to be around $1,500 different, lower than the statewide average. So it's just easier to digest in a large number, you know, again, around $12,600, right at $13,000 per pupil. And so that, as far as the recommendation is concerned, I do request approval of the FY25 original budget as presented and adopted, and adopt the 2024 maintenance and operations millage rate of 17.675, no increase, and assume a withholding of 2.09% commission by the Paulding County Tax Commissioner for the collection of Paulding County School District property taxes pursuant to Georgia Code Section 48-5-404. The FY 2025 original budget reflects a 2024 bond millage rate of 0.000 with bond principal and interest or debt service paid through eSPLOST. That is the recommendation, Madam Chair.
I did have a question before we got to the motion. but I can ask it during discussion.
Okay. So, do we have a motion to approve the fiscal year
So
20?
moved.
The motion by Mr. Chester, I need a second. Second. Second by Ms. Lyons. Is there any discussion?
Mr. Superintendent, I know this information is out there, and I may have just missed it, but for the public, is there a place that the public can go and maybe watch a video without having to scroll through, you know, a whole board meeting or find out that place in the meeting where that presentation is done, that, you know, maybe a 5-minute video on the budget process, and, you know, on the website? Is that available somewhere?
We do link to all of our budget presentations off business services section of our website. So it's, go to our website, go to departments, click on business services, and you can drill right down to budget 2025. But we have been talking about doing something more of a, like, I think what you're talking, more concept, process
Right.
video, as opposed to specific to this year's budget. We saw a few out there that we thought were pretty cool looking, so we're going to try to copy them.
And we've had these fantastic presentations, so I think in some instances, it may just be editing down that information to eliminate the board part of it. But, you know, in some instances, information is already there, readily available. It just has to be edited and processed so that link can be found. So,
Yeah.
thank you.
Yes, sir.
Yes, I've got some questions, concerns, comments, whatever you want to call them. On, Steve sent out a summary, if you would, of the budget by line item. On the first page, and I mentioned this back in the executive session, 2,400 school administration is 11% increase. It's around a $3 million increase. Central office support services is a 14.5%. I'd like to know what those are, because a lot of people are going to think those are central office. And then on the bottom, I had a concern, line item 2213, instructional staff training was a negative 33%. In other words, it was not as much. And are we sacrificing training of our people to meet a budget?
Yeah, I don't, sorry, you may, was that, go ahead. I didn't mean to-
It just seemed like, you know, it's not a whole lot of money, it's $320,000, something like that. But are we sacrificing our training to fit inside this budget window here? And are those other two items are explain staff?
On the training, I don't know that specific situation, but my guess is it's probably movement between a grant and the general fund. No, we've not. Sorry, I got the general fund account there, shaking your head. Sorry, hey, I feel good.
We're not cutting back on training then?
No, it's a
Okay,
movement
good.
between those grants. The objects you're talking about, you know, it may take a little more research. The object, I think you're, at that level, is probably both personnel and non-personnel related. So, you know, it's probably it's a lot of different things.
Because that
It's
is
not
a
just
summary.
personnel, though. And make sure I throw something at me if I'm saying that incorrect, Amber, but so I think what John's looking at is its summary, the general fund
Yeah.
budget summary. So that isn't broken out necessarily by, what he's referencing is all-inclusive.
Well, I've got questions about some of the detail too.
Yeah.
There again, I would like to see in our spring offsite where we sit down and go through this as a board, where we don't have to, or where I don't have to come in and ask these individual questions during an open board meeting. Page 2, the salaries, art, music, and PE, it's a $1.5 million increase, and I'm glad to see this second one, it's third from the bottom on page 2, maintenance and bus monitor salaries. It is a 37% increase. That is going to definitely be a positive, I think. Page 3, you go back in there's salaries, other administrative personnel, salaries, other, and just a general statement, all through this budget, you see other, and there's quite a bit of money in other. And I would like to have some of the other, no,
Yeah, I mean, all those detailed questions, we certainly can answer and provide you, more background on. Not necessarily, right now on the spot kind of.
Well, for a vote, I think we should have those answers. But again, on page 4, supplies, it's a 123% increase to $1.9 million. Here's another other. It's a 90% increase. Other administrative personnel,
Madam Chair,
$1.5 million.
make motion to call the question.
All right?
He still has the floor.
One last comment. I would challenge anybody on this board to explain what Tiffany is increasing her budget for. If we really know the budget and we want to shut the questions down, I will vote against it, but.
Mr. Dean, who's Tiffany?
Tiffany Frazier?
Oh, Ms. Frazier.
I know what it is, but I'm just wondering if anybody else does. Does anybody on the board know what her increase in her budget was this year?
I think she's satisfied that pretty well with her presentations.
What is it?
Are your microphones off?
You want to explain that to everyone?
No, I would like the board members. We're voting on a $430 million budget, and I would almost bet that nobody knows what's in it.
Madam Chair,
I think he still has the floor, correct?
I thought he relinquished it to ask questions.
Okay, you've relinquished it, so
You got a motion and a second, ma'am?
I don't actually yet.
Motion to call the question.
The motion to call the question and a second to call the question. Okay. So at this point, then we have a motion and a second to approve the budget.
No, you have the motion to call the question is essentially a motion to end debate. So it's basically said, Mr. Chester's motion is the
We got
same.
to vote on that.
Yeah, you got to vote
Yeah.
on whether to end the debate.
Okay. So I have a motion and a second call to question to end the discussion. All in favor of ending the discussion? All right. So now we go back to the fact that we have a motion and a second to approve the budget. We've had discussion, we've ended discussion. All in favor of the motion to approve our fiscal year 2025 original budget? Right? Here we are? Yeah. So all in favor? Is anyone in favor of that? All right, so we have those opposed, I'm sorry. Mr. Dean and Mr. Fuller. And the motion is approved 5-2.
And, Madam Chair, the next recommendation is approval of the personnel report presented this morning, which includes items number 1 through 77.
All right, do we have a motion to approve personnel items number 1 through 77?
So moved. Second.
Moved by Mr. Chester, second by Mr. Clayton. Is there any discussion on personnel? All in favor? It's unanimous. All right. Is there any public participation for this meeting? All right. That being said, we are at board member comments. Start today with Mr. Nolan.
Oh, lead off.
Well, we attended the GSBA conference last weekend, and my key takeaway after spending time with my colleagues was that, yet again, Paulding County is leading in every aspect of how we're doing things. And I've specifically attended training on transparency, and to hear roughly another 120 school districts in the room talk about what they do for transparency, there wasn't one single thing in the presentation that we didn't already do. In fact, we probably do a little more. The only thing I don't think we do as well is to tell everybody how well we have the steps in place. Maybe we need a video for that, right, Mr. Chester? But it was, when I hear Ms. Frazier tell about the fact that we're presenting at Glissy on two separate occasions in two separate places, and I sat in a room where our team, our board, could have taught the class that day. It was really nice as a board member to be able to go into a room and go, raise your hand every single time somebody asks you a question about what you were doing, and stand up and tell people how you do things to be transparent with your public. And so for that, and I have to say, the board supports that, but that comes from the leadership. They are putting these building blocks of transparency in place every day, and it's great. To hear that our staff is out teaching other staffs around the state how to do things right is a credit to our leadership here in Paulding County. I know we're talking about budgets, and I would be happy to sit down with any member of the public and talk one-on-one about our budget in any respect, including you, Mr. Dean, from the standpoint of how we do things responsibly. So I want to thank the staff in the room and the folks who put our budget together for working to spend the taxpayer dollars as responsibly as you possibly can. That's all.
Okay. I also wanted to talk about the GSBA conference. I sat in on the policy workshop, which was Phil Hartley, who's our GSBA attorney, who he gave us an update on all of the legislation that have passed this past general session that affects the school district. And we all know the impact was tremendous on that legislation. But he does a great job making sure that our policies and reflect the new legislation that's passed and are compliant. I'm reading my notes a little bit, but I wanted to get it right. But of course, our esteemed Tom Cable attorney does a great job of making sure that he does an impeccable job of making sure that we are compliant with our policies and our procedures according to new legislation, because we have to keep up with that, and that was my takeaway, was really the full impact of a lot of the legislation that has been passed that affects us as board members, as a school district. But anyway, with that being said, we really had a great time. We had some really nice time just to relax and enjoy just sitting and teaching and absorbing a lot of new information, and hopefully bringing it back to each other, because we went to different classes, and just make our board better. That's the reason we go, is to grow, and every one that I've ever been to, I learn something new. And but anyways, that's kind of my update. Hope everybody's enjoying their summer, still having some fun, just enjoying the sunshine and your flowers and all that good stuff. And I just want to tell you congratulations on your honor, and thanks for what all of you do for our district. That's it.
Oh, it was a great conference. I think, every year you learn something different. And just as important, you have the opportunity to meet other people around the state who are involved in the same activities. I was telling our board that I think the statistic is less than 1% of the population will ever run for office, and even less than that will ever actually win. And so there's a small, very small minority of people that are board members and involved in education the way we're involved. And so it's a honor and a blessing to sit and talk with some of those people and learn from their experiences and to be a part of the process. It's and I'm thankful, for the opportunity. I'm appreciative of everyone in leadership and people in this building who do what they do. It's a lot of technical work and a lot of time, but as I was told and as I believe, it's those of you, and I'm proud to be a part of it, that are fulfilling a moral obligation that we have to our children and our community to give them an opportunity better than some of us have had and hopefully greater. And that's a great thing to be a part of it. And it's hard work, ungrateful work sometimes, but I truly do believe that giving our kids a future that we don't know about, that we don't know what it's going to look like, and some of us will never know what it's going to shape up to be. That's a blessing to be part of that work. So I'm thankful to everyone and thankful that we get the opportunity to do it. So thank you.
And seeing as I was in the same conference as the other two, I won't say ditto. But it was a very informative on what the legislative laws were passed this year. Miss Vivian is gone. The lady that is the lobbyist down there is I just can't believe that she's not going to be down there anymore. But what? Angela, yeah, I'm sorry. Where'd I get Vivian? I didn't. But anyway, it was a very good conference, and like the others have said, it was nice to get to meet other districts and see what they're doing and how we're performing with them, which I think we're doing an outstanding job. So it was hot. Savannah is not cool like it is here in the morning. So anyway, it was a good trip, worth the trip down there. So that's all I've got.
Guess I can just pretty much say ditto. I did the same thing as everybody else. I had the policy. I did the online version, though, because I had some things here I had to stay at home for an extra day and take care of. I did follow along with the policy. Phil Hartley always does a good job of taking something as boring as policy discussions sometimes and adds life to them and sarcasm to make them, meaningful and eventful, so that you actually take away the good information that you need to from, the seminar. One of the breakout sessions that I did was on kind of the generational differences between your boomers, your silent, your millennials. And it was very insightful to see, everyone talks about, those millennials, those Gen Xers, but, if you look at everybody and break them down and how they came along and how they, evolved to what their generation is, everyone has a way of doing things. And just because it's not the same as your generation, it doesn't mean that it's wrong. So you have to kind of embrace that going forward, and knowing that with each generation, we may think that because they're quiet and they do it to themselves that it's wrong, but it's not. It's just their way of processing and doing things, and kind of the way he explained that those people are going to become our next leaders, our next, it was really insightful to see kind of a different perspective than what I'm used to. So other than that, it was a great conference. I enjoyed spending time with the board, kind of got away a little bit, let our hair down. And like John said, to meet with other board members from other districts and kind of get different perspectives on things. It's really an eye-opening experience, especially someone as new to the board. I've been here 4 years, but I'm still learning every board meeting, and those conferences are a great way to, take what we learn here and combine that with other districts and other experiences, because there's some members on those boards that have been there for 50 years. So it's nice to be able to get additional perspectives. So everyone have a great day.
All right, thank you. I was able to attend the conference back in the fall. I wasn't able to attend the one that you all went to, but I did have the opportunity to take the legal issues class, which is something that I enjoy. When I graduated with a bachelor in political science, I was intended to go to law school, but at that point, I had been there long enough, and I never got into your profession, but I'm very interested in legal issues. But I just wanted to say real quick on the taxes, just for, in the budget vote, just for public transparency on your personal tax assessments, that everyone needs to be aware that last year, the governor gave everyone a $400 average tax credit through the state legislature, and that was not renewed this year. So that is a hit that you're going to see that does not reflect necessarily the Board of Education's millage rate. And even though I voted no, I do want to reiterate this year that this year, keeping the millage rate the same is something that I do commend the board for, not raising it, and it only added a little over $4 million, where the last couple of years it added up into 20. So that shows how much the real estate, property values are leveling off, and I am concerned if it dropped that much this year with the same millage rate, what next year is going to do, because if they continue to decline, it's going to be less revenue for the district. So I do applaud our staff for putting the budget together. I know it's a lot of work that goes into it. One thing that I wanted to say as well, as far as helping our school district, gather more funds without raising the tax base, or even depending on the millage rate and the property values, is impact fees on the housing market. And we're not allowed to have impact fees. I believe that's against the state law, but there was a bill that was put in that would allow certain counties and school districts to receive impact fees, but Paulding County unfortunately didn't qualify because our growth was not high enough, which I was disappointed to see that our state legislator, state senator, it was a Senate bill, did not put an amendment in that to allow Paulding County to take advantage of that, knowing that we struggle so much with overcrowding and the housing market being out of control. That's something that I think they need to work towards on a state level, helping us alleviate that stress. And it's been a contentious campaign issue, not only for Board of Education members, but also for Board of Commissioners. And I strongly believe this, our state legislature needs to work in the state capitol to help us be able to have alternate sources of revenue that are not killing the homeowner and the tax base. Also, we had a legislative priority that we did ask our state legislators to ask the governor to extend the $400 tax credit this year, and I was disappointed to see that did not get put in, and that we didn't take that by the throat and go with it. And I just want to encourage our state representatives, our state senators that represent Paulding County to join the struggle with us and the struggle with the commissioners that we face every day. In this high tax base, that everything gets put on the homeowner, to help us find state funds and help us find other areas of revenue that we can continue to function for student success without having to strangle the homeowner, or as the perception says, because there are ways to do it, but we need some help. And I just want to encourage anyone that's watching to write their legislators and to get them on board and get them on board with us to find those other avenues of resources. And thank you all for being here. Thank you again to the budget team for putting this together. Ms. Fraser, congratulations on your future achievement as a doctor, and we congratulate you on that. And I'm glad Ms. Lyons put you on the spot, because I had no idea, so we learned something today. So that's all I've got, Ms. Collette.
I want to jump back real quick. Obviously, yes, I did go to the GSBA conference. It was, I always come back from those meetings fired up and excited and very proud of Paulding County. Not just proud of Paulding County, the board, but proud of our school system, all of you guys, and all the work that you do, and the accolades. But I'm more excited to hear that you guys were recognized, and you were actually at a conference presenting that. To me, that speaks volumes for what you're doing and then what we're all doing together. So I did want to, just to mention that. I also want to jump back to something that Mr. Clayton had said, the class that he took about the generations. I looked around the room, and there were a lot of elderly board members throughout that entire room. I'm with you, babe, I'm with you. But that one of the things that the generational was talking about is that your boards need to be generational. And I know if you look at us, you know, Adam's probably our youngest, Mr. Clayton is probably our youngest member on the board, and sitting right next to him may be our oldest member on the board. So we are generational, which I think does bring, and that was one of the things that the class was talking about, is that brings new perspective and ideas, and we may all not think alike, and believe me, the 7 of us do not all think alike, and not necessarily is that because of generationals, but I do think that we bring a lot of different expertise, a lot of different ideas and talent to this board that we can turn around and use for the students and the teachers and educators here in Paulding County. So I'm excited that even listening to it was interesting to hear the different generations, and you know, something as simple as when I went to school, we didn't have to worry about whether or not there was a cell phone in a class because nobody had cell phones when I went to school. And you know, today I wouldn't live without my cell phone. So it's interesting to watch the generations and to see that the different things that we all bring. I also wanted to mention that while you were able to shine and to present, one of the things that as a Board of Education, if you will notice to my left, we have Ms. Taylor has done a great job of, first of all, refreshing and repainting our entire room, but she has also added the exemplary board status that our board has achieved since 2020. We are very hopeful that we will add another logo to the wall for 2024. To be an exemplary board, there are, basically we do additional training, additional things to keep us just one step above. There is another level that someday I hope we will achieve, to be in a position where we will be a governance team of the year, and we will be, as a board, presenting at a GSBA conference. So I like to set little goals for myself. To me, that's kind of a big one, but that's something that I would like to see us one day, instead of exemplary, which is awesome, but I'd like to see us take it the next step and be governor's team of the year. So other than ditto, it was a great conference. Congratulations very much, Ms. Frazier. That is an awesome, just to get your doctorate is wonderful, but I am very impressed, and I really would love to read when you're finished. Would love to read the, it's interesting, I didn't think about the fact that there's not a lot of information out there about the central office and how it contributes, and that's very important. So thank you for that. Excuse me?
Her dissertation?
Yes. But that is all that I have for today. You guys continue to have a wonderful summer. And with that, I need a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
So moved by Mr. Clayton, which we can have. Second by Ms. Lyons. Any discussion? All in favor? We are adjourned.